My name is Caddy O'Brine, and I've lived in the same small house in Los Angeles for 3 quiet years. I work from home, I don't party much, and most days feel exactly the same: sunlight, coffee, and a predictable routine that keeps me sane. Nothing extraordinary ever happens in my life, at least not until 3:17 a.m. on a Thursday morning. That was the first time my doorbell camera showed me something I can't explain, something no one believes, something that still makes my skin crawl whenever I think about it, and I wish more than anything I had never tapped that notification. I woke up because my phone buzzed underneath my pillow. That alone was strange. I always set it on the nightstand before sleeping. I guess I must have knocked it closer during the night. I squinted at the glowing screen. Motion detected at your front door. Time 3:17 a.m. Great, I mumbled, another raccoon. But the uneasy feeling in my chest didn't match my casual voice. After living in LA long enough, you learn the difference between noises you should ignore and the ones your instincts warn you about. And at that moment, my instincts were whispering that something was off. I tapped the alert. The video feed opened slowly, buffering just enough to raise my heartbeat. When the image finally appeared, my breath caught. Someone or something was standing at the edge of my porch, not close enough for the porch light to fully catch it, not far enough to dismiss as a trick of the camera, just a figure, blurred and still. I leaned closer to the screen. The shape didn't look solid. It was like the camera had trouble focusing on it, the edges bending slightly as though heat waves shimmered around it. My porch light flickered behind the figure, casting a shaky haze across the steps. Hello, I whispered aloud, as if the feed could hear. Meth figure didn't move. Then it did not. Naturally, no step, no shift of weight. It seemed to jump closer, as if a frame had been skipped. I froze. 3:17:0 43:17:0 53:17:06. The figure tilted its head toward the doorbell camera, like it was examining the lens, or like it was trying to see me through it. A cold ripple crawled up my spine. I wanted to back away, but instead I stayed glued to the screen, pulse thumping. Then a sound interrupted the video. KNOCK soft, measured, real, not from the phone, from the actual front door. I jerked upright, the air thick in my room. Another knock, steadier this time. I backed away from the doorway of my bedroom, eyes fixed on the dark hallway that led to the front of the house. I didn't dare move closer. I didn't dare speak. The knocking stopped. Silence swallowed the house. Just when I thought it might be over, my phone buzzed again in my hand. Motion detected at your living room window. Time 3:17 a.m. My stomach twisted. The thing wasn't at the door anymore. It had moved to the window directly beside my couch, the window without curtains, the window where anyone outside could look straight. I didn't check the footage this time. I couldn't. Instead, I shut my bedroom door, locked it, and stood completely still, listening for any sound from the living room. Nothing came. Not footsteps, not knocking, just a suffocating silence, like the whole house was frozen. And listening, I didn't sleep until morning. When daylight finally reached my windows, I forced myself to rewatch the footage. What I saw didn't make sense. Half of it didn't even look real. The rest was worse, because the figure, the outline, the way it stood, it felt like it recognized me, like it had come specifically for Caddy O'Brine, and the timestamp burned itself into my memory. 3:17 a.m. My life stopped being normal. I didn't sleep much after reviewing the doorbell footage, not because I was scared, at least that's what I told myself, but because my mind wouldn't let go of that moment. 3:17 a.m. The exact timestamp blinked in my mind like a dying star. That's late, even for my insomnia. And the movement, whatever it was, didn't match any person, animal, or shadow I could reasonably explain away. I woke up around 8:40 a.m., rolled out of bed, and checked my phone again, and that's when I noticed something I hadn't seen the night before: a small red dot, a missed alert, a notification. I didn't open. Another motion alert from 3:21 a.m., just 4 minutes after the first one, except this one wasn't labeled as movement detected. It was marked face detected. My stomach twisted. The app only used that alert when someone stood close enough for the camera to lock onto features: delivery drivers, neighbors, the occasional stray kid who thought ringing doorbells at night was hilarious. My thumb hovered over the notification, but I hesitated. I didn't want to see a face, not at that hour, not after the shadow I saw in the first clip. But curiosity is a cruel thing, and silence is even worse. I tapped. The video loaded slowly, the wheel spinning like it enjoyed torturing me. When it finally opened, it showed the same grainy night vision view of my porch. The timer read 3:21:08 am. At first, nothing happened, just the empty porch. Then the camera flickered. A glitch, just one jump in the pixels. Then something leaned into frame, not step, not walk, leaned, like it had been standing inches out of sight. Waiting for the camera to recognize it, I felt my breath skip. The figure was close, too close, and the night vision blurred everything. Except for one detail, the eyes wide, reflective, unblinking. They stared straight into the camera, straight at Meth, and the footage ended abruptly. Like someone had pressed stop. I realized my hands were shaking, not dramatically, but enough that I had to set the phone down. The rational part of my brain kicked in, trying to calm the rising panic. Maybe it's a prank, maybe a glitch, maybe my tired brain is seeing things, but one thought undercut them all. No one stood that close to my door without triggering a sound. No footsteps, no breathing, nothing. It felt like the world had muted itself around that moment. My heart thumped hard once, the kind of beat that feels like a warning more than a rhythm, and then ding, a new notification banner slid across my screen. Doorbell camera, motion detected, 9:14 a.m. I froze. Someone or something was at the door right now. I slowly turned my head toward the front hallway, as if the camera would somehow send sound through the walls and announce the visitor. Nothing, no knock, no footsteps, no voice, just the silent house watching me. Picked up the phone with careful fingers and opened the live feed. It loaded, and what I saw made my blood feel like melting ice. Nothing on the porch, completely empty, but the camera kept detecting motion, pinging over and over like it was tracking something invisible, drifting inches from the lens. I whispered to myself, please, don't let this be real. At that moment, the camera feed glitched just once, a flicker of static, and for a fraction of a second, I saw it again, a shape, a shoulder, a face, those same unblinking eyes staring directly into the lens, staring directly at Meth. Video froze, the feed crashed, my phone went black, and I finally realized whatever visited me at 3:17 a.m. didn't leave. It was still here, somewhere between the frames. By the time my phone restarted, my hands were still trembling. The house felt wrong, not dangerous. Exactly, more like it was holding its breath. With Meth, air was heavy, like someone had walked through moments before and left the atmosphere rearranged. I stood in the living room, staring at the hallway that led to the front door. Every instinct told me not to go near it, but curiosity, again, is a terrible negotiator. I opened the door to the hallway and stepped forward. One step, second step, and the floorboard beneath my left foot creaked louder than usual. I froze. Nothing moved, no shadow, no reflection in the framed pictures on the wall, but the house still felt watched. When I finally reached the door, I didn't open it, not yet. Instead, I peeked through the small peephole. Empty porch, motionless street, bare trees, still in the morning light. Nothing there, but my phone buzzed in my hand. Doorbell camera, sound detected, 9:19 a.m. sound. I hadn't heard anything, not a knock, not a footstep, not a voice. I played the clip. The audio was faint at first, just static and the soft hiss of background noise. Then something came through, so soft I almost missed it. A whisper, not words, just the shape of breath, like someone exhaled inches from the microphone. My throat tightened. I played it again. The whisper had a strange cadence, like it wanted to form a word, but couldn't quite reach it. Then, almost too quiet to notice, a second sound, another breath, higher, shorter, like two people were whispering on my empty porch. I backed away from the door, suddenly needing space, air, distance, anything. I grabbed my keys from the counter. My plan wasn't complicated. Get out, get into daylight, figure out what's wrong once the sun hits my house, like it always does. But as I moved toward the back door to leave through the garage, something made me stop. On the small wooden table by the wall, one I rarely looked at, sat a slip of white paper, not mail, not a receipt, a note folded neatly, perfectly, as if someone had placed it there with deliberate care. I stared at it, unsure how long it had been sitting there. I knew I didn't put it there. I never leave things folded. I crumple everything. My heart thudded painfully as I approached. The note was blank on the outside, no handwriting, no smear of ink, no sign that it had ever touched rain or dirt or a human hand. He unfolded it with shaky fingers. Inside, written in plain, almost childlike handwriting, were three words: don't look again. A chill shot through me so fast it felt like my bones had cracked from the cold. Again. Again meant I already had. Again meant something saw me looking. Again meant ding me. Phone buzzed violently. Doorbell camera, person detected, 9:21 a.m. I looked down at the screen, breath stuck in my throat. The app didn't just say motion, not face, not sound. It said person, meaning someone was standing there now, right now. I tapped the live feed. The screen loaded and the porch was empty, but before I could exhale, the camera tilted just a tiny, unnatural shift, like something had brushed against it. My phone buzzed again. Person detected, two people. My pulse spiked. I gripped the phone tighter and stared at the feed. Then the motion indicator light flashed on the screen. A shadow drifted along the bottom edge, slow gliding like someone crawling or standing too close for the camera to understand. Then the audio kicked in, a whisper low long like a voice speaking directly into the microphone. Caddy. The phone slipped from my hand and hit the floor with a sharp crack. I stumbled backward. Breath stuck somewhere in my chest. They knew my name. They weren't guessing. They weren't imitating. They knew. I backed up until my shoulders hit the wall. The house got quiet again, too quiet. And then, from the front door, a soft sound reached me. Not a knock, not a voice, not footsteps, just a single, drawn-out scrape, like fingernails trailing slowly down the would-be noon. The house didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt occupied, not by a person I could confront, but by a presence that moved between moments, showing up in places where no one should be. Tried to keep myself busy cleaning, organizing, pacing, but every tiny sound made me jump. Even the hum of the refrigerator seemed louder, like it was compensating for a silence that felt unnatural. At around 12:47 p.m., something happened that pushed me from uneasy into full-on terrified. I heard footsteps upstairs, slow measure, too heavy to be wind, too soft to be an animal. My first instinct was denial. Maybe it's the pipes, maybe the house is settling, maybe I left a window open. I didn't believe myself for a second. I stood at the bottom of the stairs, staring up into the dim hallway. The house had an open landing, so from where I stood, I could see just enough of the upstairs floor to know it was empty, or supposed to be. Then I heard it again, step. It sounded like someone was pacing in my bedroom. My throat tightened. I should have called someone, anyone, but some part of me wanted proof, evidence, a reason not to think I was losing my mind. Slowly, carefully, I walked up the stairs. Halfway up, the footsteps stopped. Silence, but not a relieved kind of silence, more like a silence that's listening back. I reached my bedroom door. It was open, the way I'd left it. Hello? My voice cracked. Embarrassingly soft. No answer. I stepped inside. Everything was exactly how I left it. Bed unmade, curtains drawn, laptop on the desk, nothing disturbed until I noticed something new. My closet door was open only a few inches, but that was enough. I never leave it open. A cold pressure spread across my shoulders, like the air had changed temperature. Only around me. Approached the closet with the same dread people have in movies. Right before you yell, "Don't go in there." Before I reached it, my phone buzzed in my pocket. The vibration made me jump. I pulled it out with shaky hands. A notification from the doorbell camera. Camera offline, connection interrupted. The camera never goes offline, not once in the 2 years I've lived here. Another notification popped up immediately after. Camera reconnected, motion detected. My heart hammered. Motion detected while I am upstairs, far from the front door. I backed away from the closet instinctively, as if the house itself shifted under my feet. I opened the live feed. It was blurry for a second before clearing, and what I saw didn't make sense. A figure was standing on my porch, facing the door, facing the camera, facing me, except it wasn't a person, not fully. Its outline flickered, like it didn't fit into the frame, like it was borrowed from another moment. Then it did something for the first time. It moved, but not toward the camera. It tilted its head, as if listening to something inside the house, inside my house, inside with me. And instantly, I felt it, something behind me, not touching, not breathing, but present, like someone standing close enough for their absence of sound to be louder than any noise. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. For a full 5 seconds, the world froze. Then crack, a loud snap came from the bedroom closet, like a hanger breaking or something shifting violently out of place. I spun around. The closet door was now open, wider, much wider, and something inside had moved. I didn't sleep after the garage incident. I didn't even lie down. I sat on my living room couch with every light on, wrapped in a blanket. I wasn't sure it was helping. My hands kept shaking, my throat kept tightening, my mind kept replaying the same detail over and over. That wasn't a person, and even worse, it knew I was there. Normally, when something frightening happens, you can convince yourself, you imagine part of it, you're tired, you saw a shadow wrong, stress exaggerates shapes, but I hadn't imagined anything. Not the way the figure pressed itself against my garage window, not the way it leaned, not the way its head slanted too smoothly, and not the way it froze, as though listening. When I whispered, "Oh God," it heard me, and it turned toward me. Even thinking about that moment made my arms crawl with cold. I kept telling myself I would call someone, the police, my friend Lila, a neighbor, anyone, but every time I reached for my phone, a feeling sank into me, like something heavy pressing against my ribs, a feeling that said, "Don't tell, don't bring anyone into this is yours." That scared me even more, because that thought didn't feel like mine. The morning sunlight finally came, pale and thin through the curtains. It made the house feel a little less tense. But not safe, never safe. I walked to the door and checked the smart lock history. No entries. The system showed nothing unusual for the entire night, but something had been here. I knew it, and then I made the mistake of opening the door. Nothing was on the porch, except a single strip of paper, curled at the edges, like it had been torn from a notebook. It shouldn't have scared me. It was just paper, harmless, but the handwriting wasn't harmless. It was mine. My handwriting. 3 shaky words. Caddy, let me in. My breath vanished. My skin went cold everywhere. At once I stared at the message like it might burn. May hadn't written that. I knew I hadn't. But the slant, the loops, the uneven lowercase letters. It looked exactly like the notes I used to write on my grocery lists. Whatever was outside my house, whatever was watching, it could mimic. May dropped the paper and stumbled backward into the hallway wall, my knees nearly giving out. My pulse thudded in my ears, not knowing what else to do. I grabbed my phone and opened the doorbell camera feed again, and I froze because the timeline now had a new event. A motion alert at 3:17 a.m. 20 seconds long, except I hadn't seen that earlier, and the system never glitches like that. My thumb hovered over the clip, shaking uncontrollably. I tapped at the video. Loaded static, then the porch empty, and then the figure slid into the frame. It didn't walk, it didn't step, it just appeared, like someone had skipped a few seconds forward in a video. It stood directly in front of my doorbell camera, so close that its face filled the entire screen. Only its face wasn't really a face. The features were blurred, like someone had wiped them with their thumb. No eyes, no nose, just the suggestion of a mouth, faint and pulled into a stretched, unnatural line. It lifted a hand, pressed something to the camera, leaned in too close, and whispered. Not a scream, not a threat, just a whisper, warped and faint under the microphone, static but clear. Caddy O'Brine. It knew my full name. The clip ended abruptly, and in the empty quiet of my house, I realized something I didn't want to believe. It wasn't trying to break in. It wanted me to open the door myself, and somehow it thought I would. The rest of the day felt wrong, not in the obvious ways. There were no more notes, no more alerts, no strange shadows in my windows. It was something subtler. A pressure in the air, like the atmosphere of my house had shifted by a few degrees in a direction humans weren't meant to notice. Every time I turned a corner, I expected something to be there. I kept telling myself to leave, drive away, go somewhere crowded, go anywhere but here. But something tightened in my chest every time I thought about stepping outside. Something that whispered, you're safer inside. Even though that wasn't true, I forced myself to move anyway. I grabbed my keys, threw my bag over my shoulder, and headed for the front door. My fingers were on the handle when knock. Not a normal knock, not a human knock. 3 taps, slow, 2 evenly spaced. Not from the front door, from the back door. I froze. No one uses my back door, not neighbors, not delivery drivers, not friends. My backyard is fenced. The gate has a lock. I didn't want to check, I really didn't, but I needed to know. My legs moved on their own as I walked down the hallway, every step feeling heavy and hollow. When I reached the kitchen, I stopped. The back door has a small window, just big enough to see through, just small enough to feel like someone could be looking. I counted down under my breath. 3, 2, 1. I look, nothing there, just the yard, the trees, the unmoving fence. But something was different. The back door was unlocked. I hadn't touched it. Never leave it unlocked. My throat tightened as I reached for the handle just to make sure it was real, and that's when I saw it. Not through the window, not outside, on the inside of the door. A fingertip trail, thin smudge drawn downward, like someone had slowly dragged a finger from the top of the window to the bottom. My stomach dropped. Someone had touched the inside of the glass. Before I could process what that meant, my phone buzzed violently in my pocket. I flinched so hard I nearly dropped it when I looked at the screen. My blood went cold. Doorbell camera motion detected. 3:17 p.m. Not the middle of the night, not a haunting hour, broad daylight. My hands trembled as I tapped the alert. The live feed opened, and for a moment nothing moved. The porch looked normal, bright, ordinary. Then a shape moved at the edge of the screen, not walking, not stepping, sliding, like it was trying to stay out of sight. While still watching, I leaned closer to the phone. The figure tilted its head, and even though it had no face, I felt it staring directly at me. Then it lifted one hand and pressed it against the edge of the camera slowly, almost gently. The screen warped slightly from the pressure, and I heard something, not breathing, not words, a soft tapping, not from the phone, from inside my house, behind me, right behind me. Spun around, nothing there, but the tapping continued, faint, rhythmic, coming from the hallway wall, like something behind the plaster was tapping its way toward me. Tap, 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 getting closer. That's when another realization hit me, sharp and suffocating. The thing outside my house, the thing in the camera, the thing that whispered my name. It wasn't alone, there was something inside. To be the time evening rolled over the neighborhood. My house felt wrong, not haunted, not dangerous, just wrong. Like someone had nudged reality half an inch to the left and everything was now slightly misaligned. I kept telling myself I was being dramatic, that I'd slept badly or let that 3:17 a.m. moment get under my skin, but when small things shift out of place in your home, a chair angled differently, a drawer half open, your phone flashlight mysteriously turned on, it stops feeling like imagination, it feels like intrusion. And that night, the walls began making sounds. At first I thought it was the pipes. California houses make noises when temperatures change, and mine was no exception. Pops, snaps, the occasional hum. That stuff was normal, but these sounds weren't normal. They were soft, intentional, almost like someone was whispering directly into the structure of the house. I froze in the hallway, a mug of tea warming my hands, trying to locate the source. The sound traveled behind the drywall, up near the ceiling, then down low near the baseboards. It moved too smoothly to be an animal. It almost sounded like breathing, slow, steady, measured, like whoever or whatever was doing it wanted me to hear it. Swallowed hard. Hello? My voice sounded tiny, like a child asking for a second opinion about the monster under her bed. The sound stopped, not faded, stopped instantly. I stood there for a full minute, listening, barely breathing. Then my phone buzzed. It was a notification from the doorbell camera. Motion detected. 7:14 p.m. My stomach dropped. I opened the app, expecting to see a stray cat or a delivery truck driving past. Instead, there was nothing, just my porch, empty, silent, still, except at the edge, barely visible, a faint shape leaned into the far left corner of the frame. I squinted, pulling the brightness up. The shape looked like an arm, just an arm, pale, motionless, as if someone was pressed flat against the wall, hiding just out of sight of the main camera lens. But the quality wasn't high enough to confirm it. It could have been a lighting glitch, a compression artifact, or the breathing noise returned, this time closer. I spun around. The sound was behind me, inside the wall near the living room light switch. The drywall trembled almost invisibly, just the slightest vibration, like someone was pressing their face to the inside of the wall, trying to listen to me the way I was listening to them. I backed away slowly. Mom? I whispered, even though she lived hours away. The whispering inside the wall answered, not in words, not in language, just a rushing hush that rose and fell like someone trying to form syllables they didn't fully understand. I covered my ears, but it didn't help. The sound felt like it was traveling through my bones. Then my phone buzzed again. Doorbell. Motion detected. 7:17 p.m. But this time, the live feed showed something different. A shadow standing directly in front of my porch light, not shaped like a person, too tall, too narrow, its outline warped like heat shimmer, as if the figure didn't entirely belong in the same physical rules as the rest of the world. As I stared, the breathing inside the walls deepened, slowly syncing with my own, like it was learning, copying, practicing. I backed toward the hallway, my throat tightening. The walls whispered again, and this time the sound formed a single, broken syllable, Caddy. My name inside my walls. My phone slipped from my hand and hit the floor, the screen still showing the tall shadow outside my home. And then the thing outside lifted its head. The thing inside the walls knocked back, both at the exact same moment, as if they were communicating, or worse, coordinating. I didn't scream, I didn't move, I just stood there shaking, realizing the truth. They weren't trying to get in. They were already here. The tapping inside the walls didn't stop. It followed me no matter how quietly I moved, no matter how many times I held my breath to listen. The rhythm returned, soft, deliberate, like fingertips brushing wood from the inside. I backed away from the hallway, every instinct screaming at me to stay in the kitchen. The lights above me flickered once, then steadied. I told myself it was just bad wiring, but the lie didn't hold for even a second. I should have called someone, the police, a neighbor, anyone. But a strange panic, sharp and whispering, kept pressing into my thoughts. Don't call, don't involve others, it doesn't want an audience. I didn't know where the thought came from, only that it felt placed there by something that shouldn't be able to place thoughts. At alley, forced myself to move toward the living room. It felt like stepping deeper into a cold ocean. My body resisted, goosebumps rising across my arms. The shadows stretching across the walls looked wrong, too thin, too stretched, like they'd been pulled tight from the corners. My phone vibrated. I nearly dropped it. Another notification. Doorbell camera. Motion detected. 3:17 p.m. again, with the same time. I didn't want to look, but my thumb opened the app anyway. The video started, and for the first few seconds, Nothing happened. The porch was still, the street was quiet. Then a second notification popped up before the video even finished. Backyard camera motion detected 3:17 p.m. I didn't have a backyard camera. The app shouldn't have shown anything. I didn't even know it could. My heart pounded as I clicked the new feed. For a moment all I saw was black, the screen pitch dark like the lens was covered. Then a faint, blurry gray shape slid across the frame, not walking, not crawling, more like it was being pulled, but resisting. My breath caught. It was the same faceless figure from the porch, only this time something else was there. Hands, dozens of them, shadowy, thin, reaching from the dark edges of the screen, holding it down, pushing it, guiding it. The shapes moved like smoke, but the fingers were unmistakably human. The figure twisted as though trying to look at me through the camera. Then the screen flickered once, twice, and a whisper came through the speakers, not loud, not aggressive, more like someone was standing right behind me, speaking into my ear. Don't turn around. I froze. Every muscle in my body locked. The house was silent again, not even the tapping. The whisper didn't come from the phone, it came from the hallway behind me. My legs shook so badly I had to brace myself against the couch. I didn't want to move, didn't want to breathe, didn't want to confirm whether anything was actually there, but staying still felt worse. Slowly, so slowly, I barely recognized my own movements. I turned my head just enough to see the edge of the hallway. It was empty, but the light was wrong, not dark, not flickering. It looked tilted, like someone had pulled reality a few inches out of place. Then I saw something on the floor, a piece of paper folded once like a note. My heart thudded in my ears as I stepped toward it. Every inch of the hallway felt colder. My fingers trembled as I bent down and picked it up. There was only one sentence written short, sharp, burning into me. You left the back door open for a reason. My stomach dropped because I knew I didn't. Something else did, something that was no longer just inside the walls. It was moving freely now. It was in my home and it wanted to get closer. The note slipped from my fingers. It floated to the floor like it had all the time in the world, like whatever wrote it wasn't in a hurry, not because it was patient, but because it already knew how this ended. I pressed my back against the hallway wall, trying to breathe normally, trying to think, but something else happened instead. A soft sound, barely audible, someone exhaling, not a sigh, not a breath of pain, more like testing the air. I whipped my head toward the living room, every nerve in my body lighting up at once. No one was there, yet the sound had been unmistakable, close enough that for a split second I felt warm breaths in my cheek. It made my stomach twist. The house wasn't silent anymore, it was listening, and whatever was inside it wanted me to know. I took small steps backward, keeping my eyes on the dark hallway. Every shadow shifted as if aware I was watching. The walls felt tighter, the air heavier. My phone buzzed again. I jumped so hard I nearly dropped it. Doorbell camera motion detected 3:17 p.m. Again. With that time my hand shook as I opened the notification, but the app didn't load the feed. Instead, the screen flashed once and a message, one I definitely didn't write, appeared. Hello, Caddy. I choked on a breath. The text vanished, replaced by the live video, but this time the porch wasn't empty. A shape stood there, not faceless anymore, its head tilted as if trying to fit into the frame, like the camera wasn't built to contain it. The image distorted, pixels stretching unnaturally around the silhouette. Then the figure leaned closer, so close its face filled the screen, and I saw features now, a mouth, a jaw that seemed too loose, too soft, like it was made of clay that someone had pressed their fingertips into. The eyes weren't black voids anymore, they had depth, shapes, pale irises that reflected more darkness than they held. It smiled wide, but not in a human way. It looked like the smile belonged to someone else and had been glued onto the wrong face. Then the figure lifted its hand and tapped the camera 3 times, tap, 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 the exact rhythm I'd heard inside the walls. I stumbled back until my legs hit the couch. A second notification popped up. Living room camera motion detected 3:17 p.m. I didn't have a living room camera either. My throat tightened. The screen went black for several seconds before flickering to life. The angle was wrong. It was looking down into my living room from somewhere high, as if perched near the ceiling corner. I didn't want to look. I had to slowly. I raised my eyes. The camera feed showed me standing in the same room, holding my phone, staring at the screen. The image made my chest tighten. Someone or something was recording from inside my house. In the feed, something moved behind me, spun around so fast I nearly fell, heart slamming against my ribs. The space behind me was empty, but on the screen, the figure stood not 2 feet behind my back. A dark hand hovered inches from my shoulder, fingers twitching like they couldn't wait to touch me. And then in the video, the figure leaned its head close to my ear. Its mouth moved. My phone's audio crackled softly and a whisper filled the room. You know why I'm here? I staggered back, shaking so hard my teeth clattered. I wanted to scream, wanted to run, wanted to tear every camera off every wall, even the ones I never installed, but my voice wouldn't work, my legs wouldn't cooperate. The whisper came again, this time not from the phone, from the air, from the hallway, from everywhere. You called me when you looked. My vision blurred, my breath hitched. I didn't call anything, I didn't even know how, but the moment I saw what the camera caught, the moment I watched instead of turning away, something else had been watching me back, something very patient, something very old, and now it knew my name. First person, Caddy O'Brine, asterisk asterisk. I didn't sleep that night, how could I? The house felt wrong, tilted, stretched, like the walls were exhaling slowly around me. Every dark corner looked deeper than it had a day before, and every mirror, every reflective surface felt watched for hours. I sat in the living room with my knees pulled up to my chest, staring at the muted doorbell camera feed on my TV. It was 2:54 Ami knew what was coming, not because of the shadow I had seen, not because of the thing whispering my name through static, but because deep down I felt like I had already lived this moment. Time wasn't moving forward, it was circling. 2:58 amp. Air became heavier, like humidity without heat. My ceiling fan spun slower, every light dimmed by a fraction, as if something enormous had stepped between me and the rest of the world. I swallowed hard. Not tonight, I whispered, please, but the house didn't care, the world didn't care, and whatever had been at my door, it wasn't done. 3:06 a.m. A soft click sounded in the hallway. The camera app opened on its own. My phone wasn't in my hand, it was across the room on the kitchen counter. I hadn't touched it yet. The feed turned on anyway. The screen displayed the front porch, quietly glowing in the cold blue tint of the night vision lens. Empty, silent, wrong. My pulse hammered under my skin. 3:12 amp. Live feed began to flicker, but not like before, not chaotic, not glitchy this time. It was rhythmic, on off, like a heartbeat, like breathing. Stop, I muttered, please stop. I wasn't talking to the phone, I was talking to whatever was using it. 3:15 a.m. Something new appeared, a shape in the far distance of the porch, a lean figure standing at the last step, barely visible, as if the camera itself was resisting showing it clearly. It didn't move, it didn't breathe, it just waited, like it had been waiting for me all along. My lungs tightened. I whispered, you're not real. But my voice shook too much to believe myself. 3:16 a.m. 1 minute left. I felt it, an invisible pressure pulling at me, tugging the back of my thoughts, like gravity trying to drag my mind somewhere it didn't belong. I stumbled backward until my shoulder blades hit the wall. The shadows in the room stretched toward me. My reflection in the window next to the TV flickered a half second behind. My movements no longer synced, no longer mine. 3:17 amp. Camera froze just for a heartbeat, then the figure stepped closer, so close it filled the screen. Its face was still hidden, swallowed by the darkest shade of shadow I'd ever seen, but its shape, its posture, its way of tilting its head, slow and curious, it looked exactly like meth. Screen stuttered. My reflection in the window did the same for the first time since this started. The reflection smiled. I did not. My breath evaporated. Stop copying me, I whispered. The reflection didn't stop, it whispered back, not aloud but through the speaker of the doorbell camera, my voice perfect, identical. I'm not copying, I'm replacing. I froze. A cold numbness washed over my limbs, not painful, not violent, just absorbing, like fog settling over skin. The camera feed zoomed on its own, closer, too close, and then the figure's face finally came into view. It was me, but wrong. Eyes too wide, smile too stiff, skin too smooth, like someone had sculpted a version of me from memory. Foggy, cracked memory, and filled in the missing pieces with something not human. My legs nearly collapsed. Get out, I whispered, but the voice no longer belonged to me, it belonged to the figure on the screen and the reflection behind me. All at once, I already have. The lights went out, the house swallowed every sound. The doorbell camera feed cut to black. My reflection did not. The moment after. 3:17 a.m. I don't remember walking, I don't remember breathing, I don't remember screaming. All I remember is standing on my porch in the cold, the night air biting my skin, and watching my front door close slowly in front of me. Someone was inside, someone who looked exactly like me, and I couldn't get back in. No matter how much I banged on the door, no matter how much I cried, no matter how much I begged. Inside the house, lights flicked on, footsteps moved around. My voice, my exact voice, laughed softly. A shadow passed behind the curtains. The doorbell camera turned back. Oni could see myself through it, smiling, waving, living. I wasn't the one in the house anymore. I was the one outside watching. Erased, replaced, and the camera recorded everything. At 3:17 a.m. again, the sun should have been rising, but when I looked at the sky, it felt delayed like dawn, was hesitating, unsure whether it still belonged to my world or hers. I stood barefoot on the porch, the cold concrete numb beneath my feet. My own breath fogged the air in front of me, thin and shaky inside. Behind the door that used to be mine, the other me moved with the confidence of someone who had always lived. There she opened the curtains, she looked right at me and she smiled like she'd been practicing my expressions her whole life. My stomach tightened, that face was mine, but the eyes. The eyes held no memory of living, no warmth, no doubt, just possession. The strange morning, I didn't know what to do. Who do you call to report that your reflections stole your life? I tried the neighbors, but every time I turned to walk across the lawn, the world tilted slightly like I was trying to move through water, not air. I felt light, faint, as if my body wasn't entirely solid anymore. When I stepped off the porch, my foot glitched just a skip, a moment where the ground seemed to forget I was supposed to touch it. I jerked back, my heart thudded, and from behind the window, the other me tilted her head. Curious, almost amused. The doorbell rings. I don't know why I pressed the doorbell. Maybe because I wanted the house to recognize me, maybe because I needed proof I still existed. The chime echoed from inside, my voice I had recorded years ago, saying, "Coming." But no one opened the door. Instead, the camera above the button blinked on the small speaker, crackled. A whisper slid through the static. "You're not listed as a resident anymore." My heartbeat stuttered. The voice was mine, but older, somehow like it had lived a full life overnight while I had been left outside. I stepped back fast, nearly tripping on the doormat. A flicker in the glass. The window beside the door flickered like a TV losing signal. My reflection appeared in the glass, but it wasn't me as I was. It was me as a dim outline, see-through, fading at the edges. I lifted my hand. The reflection didn't follow. It lifted its hand first, like it was teaching me the gesture, not mimicking it. A wave of cold washed over my spine. "I'm still here," I whispered, but the reflection shook its head slowly behind the glass. The other me stepped closer, her features sharpened, defined, alive, while mine blurred further. I realized something horrifying. She wasn't just replacing my life, she was replacing meth phone. Callie ran to my car, gripping my phone with trembling hands. The screen flickered with every step, like it was struggling to stay connected to my touch. I dialed my mom. The call rang once, twice, then, "Hello?" Her voice sounded groggy. "Mama, it's me, Caddy," I said too fast. "I need you to listen. Something's happening. Something's in my house. It looks like me." A pause, a long, crushing pause, then, "Sweetheart, Caddy's right here." Everything inside me froze. "What?" Another voice chimed in on speakerphone, my voice soft, reassuring. "Mom, don't answer unknown numbers, please." My mom sighed. "I'm sorry. Whoever this is, don't call here again." The line clicked. Dead eyes stared at my screen. My mouth open, but no sound coming out. She had already gotten to them. My family, my voice, my place. I wasn't even a memory anymore. I was a ghost with a heartbeat. The realization my reflection in the side mirror of my car didn't show my face. It showed nothing, just sky, just the street, just the world moving on without me. Lifted my hand to the mirror. The real me, the me with shaking fingers, and still nothing reflected back. A cold truth settled in. Whatever stepped out of my doorbell camera at 3:17 a.m. didn't just steal my life, it erased me from it. And the worst part, I could still feel it watching, not from inside the house, not from the windows, but from every reflective surface around me, waiting to finish replacing the parts of me that were left. I didn't drive anywhere. I just sat in my car with the engine off, hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles ached. My body was shaking, not from cold, but from the terrifying sense that I was slipping like a page being torn out of a book while the rest of the chapters continued without me. My phone buzzed. A notification. I didn't want to look, but some instinct made me swipe the screen anyway. Doorbell camera, new motion detected. 3:17 p.m. I felt my lungs tighten. 3:17, the same time, the exact mirrored hour of when everything had begun. I tapped the notification. The video opened and my heart collapsed into itself. The footage the camera view showed my porch, the one I no longer belonged to. The time stamp flickered, as if the numbers were fighting to stay stable. At first, nothing moved, then a shape stepped into frame. Me, not the imposter inside, not the fading version I had glimpsed in Windows. A third version, another me, but this one looked drained, like she'd been living underground for years. Her eyes were sunken, her skin pale, and her hair hung limp against her shoulders. She stepped too close to the camera, filling the entire frame with her face. Her lips moved silently, then she whispered, "Don't try to get back in." The feed cut to black. My stomach dropped. 3 versions of me now. No, this wasn't multiplication, this was unraveling. Something was pulling me apart across reflections, shadows, and screens. I didn't know if this new version was a warning, or a trap. The not me inside the house. Before I could even breathe, my phone buzzed again. A second notification. Backdoor camera person detected. I tapped the video. The back patio camera view loaded slowly, like the file was resisting being seen. The imposter, the one who had taken my life, stood on the porch. Her posture was calm but alert, like she felt something approaching. She looked toward the camera and spoke clearly this time. "She's almost gone, only one piece left." A chill wrapped around me like a rope. I checked my reflection in the rear-view mirror. Still nothing, just the empty car interior behind me. Something in the rear seat. A tapping sound snapped my attention toward the back of the Caddy. Spun around. Nothing, but the sound came again. Not glass, not metal skin. A soft finger tap behind my ear. I whipped back to the front seat and my breath froze as the cold realization hit me. It wasn't coming from inside the car, it was coming from the rear-view mirror itself. Even though I had no reflection, something else did. A faint outline formed in the mirror like fog, taking the shape of a person. Hair, hands, my silhouette, then the mouth. It moved silently at first, and I leaned closer without thinking. The whisper drifted out like breath fogging winter air. "She needs you to disappear completely." I jerked away, my pulse hammered. Running out of time, I scrambled out of the car, slamming the door behind. Meth world felt brighter, sharper, almost too clear, like the air itself didn't recognize me anymore. My house watched me. With every window, the imposter now stood at the front door, not behind it, in front of it, waiting. Her eyes glimmered with a cold, confident intelligence. "Caddy," she said gently, as if comforting a child, "you're almost done, just stop resisting." Every word scraped across my nerves. "I'm not letting you erase me," I whispered. She laughed softly, like she found the idea adorable. "Erase you? Caddy, I am you, the corrected version, without the flaws, without the fear." My chest tightened. "Then what am I?" Her smile widened in a way no human mouth should. "You're the glitch." The road begins to fade. Backed away toward the street, but the pavement beneath my feet flickered as if the neighborhood itself struggled to hold me. A car drove past. The driver didn't look at me. He didn't even see me. Shouted, "Hey, stop." The car kept going, not slowing, not reacting. I wasn't visible anymore, not to people, not to screens, not to reflections. The imposter walked toward me slowly, like she had all the time in the world. "You can't run," she said. "This isn't your world anymore." I stumbled backward, my breath shaking. "What do you want?" I choked out. She tilted her head. "Balance, only one. Caddy O'Brine belongs in the real world. One life, one body, one reflection." Her shadow stretched unnaturally long across the driveway. "And the more you fade," she whispered, stepping closer, "the stronger I become." The last warning, the distorted version of me, the one from the doorbell footage, suddenly appeared at the edge of my vision. Not in the world, in the car window's reflection. Her face pressed against the glass from the inside, eyes wide with urgency. She mouthed one single phrase, "Don't let her touch." "Why are you?" Then she vanished like smoke dissolving. I turned back toward the imposter, and she was only one step away, her hand reaching out, her fingers almost brushing my arm. On the moment she touched me, I knew I wouldn't just fade, would stop existing completely. I stepped back instinctively, even though the world behind me was already starting to flicker like a faulty video file. The imposter's fingertips hovered inches from my skin, and the air between us felt charged, like it would tear open if she touched me. "Don't do this," I whispered, my voice trembling. But I wasn't pleading with her, I was pleading with the universe to give me one more second of existence. She tilted her head, the way I did when I was thinking everything about her. Her smile, her posture, her voice was mine, perfectly mirrored, perfectly wrong. "You were never meant to last this long," she said calmly. "Most glitches fade in minutes. You've lasted days. I should thank you for that." Her smile softened, almost kindly. "And somehow that was worse. You should have disappeared the moment you stepped out of frame." My heart hammered. "What frame?" She pointed a pale finger at my house. "The moment you walked away from the doorbell camera, 3:17 a.m. That was the moment your version broke off." My mind stuttered. "So I'm a recording?" I whispered. She laughed gently. "No, you're a copy that didn't know it was a copy." My legs weakened, the ground wavered beneath me. "I'm real," I said, but it came out thin, unsure, sounding exactly like someone afraid they weren't. The imposter stepped forward again, her hand reached out, my breath caught, and from the corner of my eye, Movement flashed the broken reflection. Caddy, the distorted version of me, the one that looked half erased, appeared in the shiny surface of a neighbor's car window. She wasn't in the real world, only in the reflection. Her eyes were wide with terror, her mouth moving fast, but I heard no sound. Then the reflection glitched, and suddenly her voice cut through the air like a sharp whisper. Run now. The imposter spun toward the window. Her expression changed instantly, not anger, not fear, but recognition, like she already knew this version too. Oh, you, she said quietly, you're still clinging on? The reflection. Caddy bared her teeth silently, the glass around her image rippling like disturbed water. The imposter sighed. She lifted her hand and the car window began to distort, warping like it was turning to liquid. Reflection. Caddy screamed, a soundless, visual scream, and the image shattered like breaking ice. Glass didn't fall, the reflection just broke and vanished. A piece of me disappeared. I feel it. A sudden, sharp cold bloomed in my chest, like a chunk of myself had been erased. I stumbled forward, grabbing the mailbox to steady myself. My breath came shallow, rapid. She watched me calmly. That wasn't you, she said. That was another version. You're all pieces of the same file, and there's only room for one final copy. Why? I croaked. She shrugged slightly. Because the world only has space for one story about who you are, one perspective, one narrative, and I'm the one the world sees. She pointed downward. I followed her gaze, and my shadow was shrinking, fading from the edges inward, like someone slowly erasing me with a soft brush. No, 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 no. I pressed my hands to my chest as if I could stop it. She stepped closer again. You're almost done. Caddy, just let go. A sound from the house. Suddenly, my doorbell dinged. Not the Eerie 317. Tonia. Normal ring. The imposter paused. I turned toward the house, heart slamming. Someone or something stood behind the frosted glass of the front door. A silhouette, not mine, not the imposter's. Taller, broader shoulders, very still. The imposter stiffened. What is that? I whispered. She didn't answer. Her face tightened with the first real emotion I'd seen on her, uncertainty. The silhouette raised a hand and pressed its palm to the glass. My stomach dropped because the shape of the hand, it wasn't human. Long fingers, too long. A shadow of a shadow. The figure spoke, voice muffled by the door. Only the true one survives. The imposter inhaled sharply. I couldn't tell if she was afraid or excited. The door slowly opens. The doorknob turned by itself. The hinges creaked. The imposter whispered sharply, Caddy, don't go near it. For the first time, she sounded frightened, but the shadow figure inside my house kept opening the door inch by inch, revealing almost nothing except the faint outline of a crooked grin beneath the porch light. I wasn't sure if it would destroy her, or destroy me, or replace both of us. I wasn't sure which one I wanted. The imposter grabbed my arm. Her hand was ice cold. Listen to me, she said, voice trembling. If that thing touches either of us. But before she could finish, the door crashed fully open. A blast of cold, dark air rushed out like a living thing, and the shadow stepped forward toward us. Toward meth. Police left just after sunset, their flashlights slicing through the living room one last time before they stepped out. They didn't have answers, they never did, and now the house felt emptier than ever, like sound itself refused to stay. I locked the door, then double-checked it, then checked again. Habit had become instinct, and instinct had become fear. My phone buzzed. Motion detected. Doorbell camera. 6:12 p.m. I froze. No one was supposed to be outside. The officers' cars had rolled away only minutes ago. I tapped the notification. The footage loaded slowly, glitching like a corrupted video game cutscene. Then the frame sharpened. A shadow on my porch, small, still, perfectly centered, but unlike the others I'd seen before, this one had shape, height, shoulders, a faint outline of hair moving in the breeze. I whispered under my breath, not again. The figure didn't move, didn't tilt, didn't breathe, but something felt different. It didn't feel like it was watching the house, it felt like it was waiting for me. Pulled the blanket tighter around myself. My heart thudded in my ears so loud I almost missed the next sound. A soft tap on the glass behind me. Turned slowly. The living room window was fogged, but in the center was a small, perfect handprint, too small for an adult, not shaped right for a child. I stepped back. Another handprint appeared, this time on the outside of the patio door, then another and another, like invisible hands were exploring every inch of the house, testing it, trying to find a way inside. My phone buzzed again. I didn't want to look, but I had to. Doorbell camera. Person detected. 6:16 p.m. The figure on the porch had moved, not closer, just turned, now facing directly into the camera, its head tilted, like it had heard my heartbeat from inside, and behind it, reflecting faintly in the night, was something impossible, my own reflection in the door's glass, except I wasn't standing there. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands and hit live view again. The camera glitched violently. Static crawled down the screen. The colors inverted. The porch light flickered, casting brief flashes across the figure's face, or where its face should have been, and then the video stabilized for 3 seconds. 3 seconds I replayed in my mind long after. The shape on the porch was no longer a shadow. It had taken a form. My form, same hair, same height, same clothes I was wearing at that exact moment, like it had studied me in every reflection, every window, every fragment of footage, and copied me perfectly except for one detail. Its eyes were wide, too wide, unblinking, a perfect imitation minus the humanity. The camera glitched again and the figure vanished from the screen. I stumbled backward, breath caught in my throat. Then Denji. The doorbell rang slowly, deliberately, once, twice, 3 times. Each chime vibrated through the floor like a warning or an invitation. I backed away toward the hallway, gripping my phone like it could save me. My doorbell camera lit up again, automatically recording. I didn't check it. I didn't want to know what it saw, but I heard something, a whisper, my own voice. "Let me in, Caddy." My blood ran cold. Footsteps moved across the porch, then stopped right outside the door. The knob twitched, just a test, and then went still. A moment of perfect, suffocating silence. Then knock, 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 come rhythmic, like someone who already knew I couldn't run. I retreated into my room and locked the door, pushing a chair against it as if that would make a difference. My phone buzzed one last time. New doorbell recording. 6:33 p.m. Video saved with trembling hands. I opened it. The screen showed the porch empty, no figure, no shadow, nothing. But the camera didn't stop recording. It tilted on its own, slowly turning away from the porch, toward the door, toward the peephole, toward the hallway inside my house. The camera shouldn't have been able to move like that, yet it kept turning, frame by frame, until the final image froze. A single shot of my hallway and my bedroom door, the very door I was hiding behind. A chill crept up my spine because in the frozen frame, my door was open. Only then did I realize I never heard it open. I never heard it close. And as the screen dimmed, reflecting my own face in the black glass, I saw something standing behind me, a shape with my height, my hair, my clothes, my silence, and eyes that never blinked.